And today we're taking an in-depth look about that historic trial we've been reporting on that will shortly be getting underway here in Paris. The first time ever France is putting a suspected perpetrator in the Rwandan genocide on the stand. Former Rwandan intelligence chief Pascal Simbakanye will face charges for crimes against humanity. Our reporters have met with some of those who lost their family in the genocide, who say they hope the trial will mark a major turning point and a way for France to come to terms with its much criticised response to the atrocities that took place.
France's genocide hunters. For the past 14 years, this couple has given every spare minute to reading, researching and trying to track down suspects involved in the Rwandan genocide.
Why did we take on the job? Simply because there were criminals here and the justice system wasn't doing anything about it. We're not professional investigators, but we decided we had to start somewhere, so we would just take it one case at a time. Look at that specific suspect. Where was he? What's being said about him? We need to go and check if that's true.
Tefroza is Rwandan. She lost most of her family in the genocide.
Every single Tutsi family was affected. If you start to look inward and look at your own pain, you'll just end up stuck in a trance. It doesn't do anyone any good. Sometimes you have to put your own situation aside and look at the larger picture.
On April 6, 1994, Rwandan President Juvenal Habyarimana, a Hutu, was killed after his plane was shot down. Hutus who were in power accused the minority Tutsis of being behind the attack, although the case remains unresolved to this day. The genocide began. Within 100 days, over 800,000 people were killed, the vast majority of them Tutsi. As the violence swelled, a group of Tutsi rebels who had been exiled in Uganda fought their way back into Rwanda. Well armed, they fought to save their people and caused the Hutus to flee. To date, the Gautiers have pressed charges against 24 Rwandans who are currently living in France, and they're working on more.
All those files of witness statements that we've gathered. Every time we find a suspect in France, we then go to Rwanda to find witnesses.
It was the Gautiers who pressed charges against Pascal Simbakanye back in 2009.
A lot of people say he distributed weapons and gave orders to kill Tutsis if they showed up at checkpoints. The proof we have is in witness accounts. There's relatively little in terms of written proof in Rwanda, but when you have many, many witnesses saying the same thing, you can conclude it's the truth.
Pascal Simbakanye stands accused of complicity in genocide and complicity in crimes against humanity. He denies all charges, and for his lawyers, his case is a clear one.
On the facts that he stands accused of, he denies all charges, and we consider that the witnesses and evidence against him are not sufficient, and he cannot be condemned beyond a reasonable doubt.
A former soldier, Simbakanye worked in the intelligence services and came from the same region as President Habyarimana. A connection many see as proof of guilt, but it's a shortcut his lawyers don't accept.
Pascal Simbakanye was not close to the government. He had great admiration for President Habyarimana, who happened to come from the same region as he did. He was part of the presidential guard, but that doesn't make him close to power. He didn't make the decisions, absolutely not.
Simbakanye's trial is France's first on the Rwandan genocide, and his defense team fears this could play against him. France has been accused of providing weapons and military training to the Hutus who were in power before the genocide and failing to protect Tutsis during it. Since the events, Paris has been criticised for stalling on bringing suspects to trial and not extraditing others, including the widow of Habyarimana. Patrick de Saint-Exupéry is a French journalist who was in Rwanda leading up to, during and after the genocide.
Definitely, in the shadow of this trial, other cases linger. There are documents, details that are questionable concerning the role of a certain number of people who were in power. These documents are bothersome. They've been on the table for the past 20 years, but they've been buying time to try and avoid answering sticky questions.
On gagne du temps pour justement ne pas avoir à y répondre.
20 years after the events, France's first trial gets underway on Tuesday, February 4th, with a verdict expected on March 14th.
All right, let's get a roundup of the latest sports news now. We're going to kick off with football.